Welcome back to the 1% Mind. In our last session, we broke down the identity gap and why you subconsciously self-sabotage your success to protect your current self-image. Today, we are taking aim at a different lie, the one that makes you feel intense guilt every time you abandon a diet or lose focus on a project. If you are relying on internal discipline to reach your goals, you are falling for a mathematical scam designed to guarantee your failure. Think about a scenario you know all too well. Your alarm goes off at 6:30 a.m. You wake up feeling sharp, motivated, and deeply resolved. You make a series of promises to yourself. You are going to eat perfectly clean today. You will focus completely on your deep work. You will not scroll on social media, and you are absolutely going to the gym after work. By 8 a.m., everything is going according to plan. You have a healthy breakfast, you easily ignore a few minor distractions, and your discipline feels like an unbreakable fortress. But society has taught us a biological fabrication. We are told willpower is a personality trait. Neuroscience proves that willpower is actually a biological battery, and just like the battery in your smartphone, it has a strictly finite capacity. That unbreakable feeling at 8 a.m. is just a fully charged battery. It is a temporary biological state that masks the systemic failure coming later in the day. The drain begins the moment you leave the house. You commute through heavy traffic, calculating the movements of cars around you, braking and accelerating. At work, rapid-fire decisions hit. You navigate emails, adjust deadlines, and prioritize meetings. Each choice withdraws cognitive energy. By 1 p.m., fixing a spreadsheet requires an hour of agonizing concentration. Then 3 p.m. arrives, and you spot a pink box of donuts. Your prefrontal cortex, the logical planning center of your brain, is completely exhausted. To conserve energy, it physically powers down, handing the steering wheel over to the primitive part of your brain that seeks immediate comfort and high-calorie rewards. At 8 a.m., you would have scoffed at that box, but right now your hands feel heavy. The internal negotiation begins. You tell yourself you skipped carbs at lunch, and half a donut won't ruin your progress. 5 minutes later, you are wiping powdered sugar off your desk. By 6 p.m., the idea of going to the gym feels like a physical impossibility. You drive home, crash onto the couch, order expensive takeout, and spend the next 3 hours mindlessly scrolling on your phone in a vegetative state. As you finally go to bed, you are consumed by guilt. You ask yourself the same agonizing question. Why am I so weak? Why do I have absolutely no willpower? You are not weak. This collapse is the predictable mathematical result of operating inside a rigged biological system. Psychologists call this exact phenomenon decision fatigue. Your brain consumes roughly 20% of your body's daily energy, making your prefrontal cortex an absolute energy hog. Most people spend their lives trying to fix this by hardening their minds. They use internal struggle to force their willpower battery to hold more of a charge. Elite performers take the opposite approach. They abandon the willpower battery entirely. Instead, they design a life that requires almost zero internal discipline to operate. They utilize environmental architecture. This is the systematic elimination of temptation from physical spaces. Consider the average person trying to lose weight. They buy a massive bag of potato chips, store it in their pantry, and use their willpower to resist eating it every single time they walk into the kitchen. They have to successfully say no to those chips 20 times a day. Eventually, the battery dies, and they eat the entire bag. The ultra-successful dieter uses their willpower exactly once, at the grocery store. They simply refuse to buy the chips. When that same person comes home with a dead cognitive battery, they desperately crave junk food. But to get it, they would have to find their car keys, drive 10 minutes to the store, and drive back. That is entirely too much effort for an exhausted brain. So they eat an apple instead. And they do it strictly because the apple is the absolute path of least physical resistance. Their healthy habit has nothing to do with superior internal discipline. It is the direct result of correctly engineering their external environment. To master your environment, you need to understand the fundamental physics of human behavior, friction. Human beings are biologically wired to conserve physical and mental energy. We will almost always choose the action that requires the least amount of friction. Psychologist Sean Achor popularized a brilliant mechanism to control this, called the 20-second rule. The mechanics are highly specific. If you want to break a bad habit, you simply add 20 seconds of physical friction to the process of doing it. If you want to build a good habit, you remove 20 seconds of physical friction. Let's apply this to a real scenario. Say you want to learn the guitar, but every night after work, you end up watching Netflix instead. Right now, your TV remote is sitting perfectly on your coffee table. The physical friction to watch TV is exactly 0 seconds. Meanwhile, your guitar is zipped up in a black case, stored inside your bedroom closet. To play it, you have to walk to the bedroom, open the closet, pull out the heavy case, unzip it, and find a pick. That is 45 seconds of high physical friction. To fix this, you invert the friction. You take the batteries out of the TV remote and place them in a drawer in the kitchen. Now, turning on the TV requires 30 seconds of highly annoying effort. Then, you take the guitar out of the case and place it on a stand right in the middle of the living room, directly next to the couch. When you sit down totally exhausted at 6 p.m., the remote doesn't work. The path of least resistance is physically picking up the instrument sitting just 3 inches from your hand. You don't need discipline to practice. You just need a smarter living room. This structural approach goes far beyond physical objects. It scales perfectly to dictate your digital ecosystem and your wealth. Elite performers use a concept called the default effect to automate their minds, starting with something as basic as their wardrobe. This is why billionaires like Steve Jobs became famous for wearing the exact same black turtleneck every single day. It is the same biological optimization that leads Mark Zuckerberg to wear a standard gray t-shirt. These are not fashion statements. By completely eliminating the daily decisions of what to wear and what to eat for breakfast, they preserve their prefrontal cortex for million-dollar choices later in the afternoon. The exact same logic governs personal finance. If you rely on memory or discipline to transfer money into a savings account at the end of the month, you will stay broke. By the time the month ends, life has happened, the battery is dead, and you will find an excuse to spend that cash. You automate your wealth instead. You set up your banking so that the exact moment your paycheck hits, 20% is immediately diverted into an investment account before you even see it. And when it comes to deep work, you cannot willpower your way through a constant stream of TikTok notifications while you are trying to study. Go into your phone settings right now and permanently disable all non-essential alerts. Install a website blocker on your laptop that shuts down your access to social media during your working hours. Lock yourself out. You remove the choice entirely. You make wealth, intense focus, and physical health your automatic default settings. Stop trying to be a superhero. If you fight millions of years of human biology with raw discipline, you will lose every single time. The majority of people are players in a game, constantly reacting to obstacles thrown at them, exhausting themselves simply trying to survive the board. High performers are not playing the game. They are the architects of the board itself. They design the environment so that winning is the only possible outcome. Look around your physical space right now. Look at your desk, your kitchen, your phone screen. Are you designing a space for the person you are or the person you want to become? Next time, we dive into the psychological shadow of ambition. In video 5, we are tackling imposter syndrome, why high performers are uniquely tortured by the feeling of being a fraud, and the exact psychological framework to silence that voice forever. If this video provided a real structural solution over empty motivation, hit the like button and subscribe to the 1% Mind. Stop just trying to be disciplined. Start being the architect. I'll see you in the next video.